Hey folks, Mike Johnson here. If it's got wheels and an engine, you're in the right place. On this channel, we dive into car repairs, maintenance tips, and everything you need to keep your ride running smooth. If you're into cars and want to keep learning, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe. It really helps the channel out. All right, enough talking. Let's get into it.
Spark plugs are responsible for providing the spark that ignites the mixture of air and fuel that creates the explosion, enabling your car's engine to create power. It's essential that your gasoline engine works. But like all other components in your car that are considered consumables, spark plugs also need to be changed, usually between 20,000 and 30,000 miles. In this article, we'll discuss some useful tips for changing spark plugs. This includes preparing the necessary tools, buying the right spark plugs, choose a flat work area, cooling your engine before replacement, cleaning the area, label parts before disconnecting anything, removing and replacing individual spark plugs, inspection of each spark plug, ensure correct gap, install each plug by hand, tighten precisely as indicated in the owner's manual, and make sure the spark plugs are properly seated. These tips for changing spark plugs can be very helpful. They can help make the process easier. In this article, we'll review each of them and more. Tips for changing spark plugs. What are the symptoms of a faulty spark plug? Car owners don't usually worry about their spark plugs until they start encountering problems caused by a bad spark plug. Spark plugs play an important role in the overall functioning of your car. Without a good, working spark plug, your gasoline-powered car won't move at all. Spark plugs are responsible for igniting the mixture of air and fuel in the combustion chamber. This starts your car and keeps it running. Spark plugs also work by transferring heat away from the combustion chamber to prevent pre-ignition from occurring. That's why it's important to make sure your car's spark plugs are in good condition. The tiny zap of electricity each spark plug provides each time a piston completes a cycle is vital to igniting the compressed air and fuel mixture. The number of spark plugs in a vehicle can vary. A 4-cylinder car has 4 spark plugs and a 6-cylinder car has 6 spark plugs. If one of your car's spark plugs becomes defective or dirty, it can cause a number of problems. Before we discuss tips for changing spark plugs, let's discuss the common symptoms of a bad spark plug. That way, we can determine whether it's the spark plug that's causing the problem, or something else. If you're experiencing any of the following symptoms, it may indicate that your spark plug needs replacing. Engine misfiring. Engine misfiring is one of the most common symptoms of a faulty spark plug. This can occur due to incomplete combustion of fuel in the combustion chamber caused by a bad spark plug. If you notice that your engine is making intermittent sputtering or stumbling noises, this may indicate that your spark plug is faulty. This must be corrected immediately, as engine misfiring can cause your engine to run rough at idle, rough under acceleration, and can result in poor fuel economy. Check the engine light. When the ECU or engine control unit has detected that the engine is misfiring, it may turn off the check engine light and record a trouble code. You can determine what the problem is by reading the stored trouble codes using a diagnostic tool or ODB2 scanner. Car struggles to start. A good, powerful spark from the spark plugs is vital for starting your car's engine. That's why when it becomes faulty, you may notice that your car has trouble starting. This is the most obvious symptom of a bad spark plug. When this happens, it usually means your spark plugs need replacing, which can be done easily with our tips for changing spark plugs we'll talk about later. Idling. Your engine should produce a soft or steady purr whenever it idles and maintains a constant RPM. If you notice that your RPM is rising or falling, or that your car seems to be vibrating too much, this may indicate that your car's engine control unit or ECU is trying to compensate for your faulty spark plugs. When this happens, you should inspect each of your car's spark plugs. Since a faulty spark plug can cause a misfire, unburned fuel can mislead the O2 sensors. When this happens, the O2 sensor will adjust the fuel mixture, which can lead to your car getting a lean mixture. This can cause rough idling and, in some cases, more misfires on other cylinders. Poor acceleration. As faulty spark plugs can mislead O2 sensors, causing lean mixture and irregular idling, they can also cause other problems such as hard and slow acceleration. You may notice that your car no longer responds as usual every time you depress the accelerator pedal. You'll usually notice this problem during hard acceleration, but it can also be noticeable during slower acceleration. If the spark plug is badly damaged, the cylinder with a defective plug may not work at all. You may notice the difference with one less cylinder. However, poor acceleration can also be caused by a number of problems. It's best to have your car checked to determine what really caused it, and have it corrected. Increased fuel consumption due to engine misfires and O2 sensors altering the air-fuel mixture because of a faulty spark plug. Your car will most likely suffer from poor fuel economy. The difference may not be that great, but it can happen. If you notice that your car is running poorly and seems to be consuming more fuel than usual, this may indicate that you have a faulty spark plug. Strong smell of fuel coming from the exhaust. When you have a faulty spark plug, the mixture of air and fuel in the combustion chamber will not ignite properly. When this happens, any unburned fuel will find its way into the exhaust system, and this can lead to a strong fuel smell coming from your exhaust or tailpipe. This problem can also be caused by a number of reasons, so it's best to have your car checked by a mechanic to get the right diagnosis. Tips for changing spark plugs. What should you do when changing spark plugs? Now that you have an idea of the common symptoms of a bad candle, you can find out if your candle needs replacing. To help you out, we've compiled this list of tips for changing candles. So what should you do when changing candles? Our helpful tips for changing spark plugs include: prepare all necessary tools before carrying out a do-it-yourself spark plug replacement. You need to prepare and gather all the necessary tools and parts so that everything is easily accessible. You'll need to prepare specialized tools like a spark plug extractor, spark plug starter or socket extender that can help make the replacement much easier. You can also use a specialized plug socket of the right size. Make sure you use it to remove the plugs, as it has a rubber inner part that can protect the delicate ceramic housing. Choose a flat workspace to make the process easy and comfortable. You'll need a flat workspace such as a driveway or garage floor. You also need to ensure that the area is well ventilated when you're changing your candles. Buying the right spark plugs for your car. Of course, one of the tips for changing spark plugs is to get the right spark plug for your vehicle. When choosing new spark plugs for your car, you need to make sure you're buying the right ones for it. You can ask auto parts stores for help or, better still, consult your owner's manual, as it may specify the right spark plugs for your car. It's advisable to choose the same make and model as the one your car comes with. Spark plugs made from precious metals such as platinum or iridium are known to resist wear much better than ordinary plugs, but they cost much more than those using common metals such as copper. Cheaper spark plugs generally cost between €10 and €60 each. Let your engine cool down. You don't want to work with a hot engine, as this could lead to burns and other injuries. So, one of the tips for changing spark plugs is to let your engine cool down before changing your plugs. Cleaning the area. When you remove the spark plugs, be sure to inspect each one for any signs of damage, build-up, oil, unburned fuel, or other foreign matter. If there is, it's an indication that there's a bigger problem that needs further diagnosis. This must be corrected, as it can lead to further problems or premature failure of your new spark plugs. Make sure the gap is correct. Many modern spark plugs come with a factory set gap. But to make sure everything will work properly, you can check and make sure the gap is correct by using a spark plug gap tool or gauge. This is also done to make sure there's no pre-existing damage or factory defects. Installing each plug by hand. You can get your spark plug starter or plug extension and install each of the new spark plugs in the engine by hand. This may seem difficult. If necessary, you can remove it and start again. This is to make sure you don't cross the plugs. Tighten them precisely as indicated in the owner's manual. One of the tips for changing spark plugs is to tighten them precisely as described in your owner's manual. You can use a torque wrench to tighten the spark plugs after installing them by hand. Don't over-tighten them, as this can cause problems. Make sure the spark plugs are securely in place. Once this is done, you can reconnect the plug boots to their specified plug mates. You need to make sure that the wires are correctly installed on the new spark plugs, and that they are securely in place. You'll know if they are in place when you feel a little pop as you install them. In conclusion, changing spark plugs is a straightforward task that can significantly improve your vehicle's performance and fuel efficiency. By following the tips we've discussed, such as ensuring you have the right tools, taking your time to avoid mistakes, and properly gap your new plugs, you can tackle this job with confidence. Remember to consult your vehicle's manual for specific recommendations and intervals for replacement. With a little patience and attention to detail, you'll keep your engine running smoothly for miles to come. Thank you for watching, and happy wrenching!